you first were, like many people, into the spiritual world, right?
Yes.
So what did you do in the spiritual world?
I did do many different things.
Like?
Not for a long time though. I tried many different things, and quite soon actually it became apparent that can't be it. And then I tried another thing, and then I thought, that's not it, and another thing, and another thing, and many. I was into the healing business, and I tried to be very special through this, searching, looking for something, not knowing what. But I was very, I wanted to do it properly, you know, and not just anyone. It had to be special. Going to the Himalayas, sitting there with the Gurujis and going all over the place. You know, it was not good enough for me to stay in Vienna and just doing a bit of meditation. I was like hardcore seeker.
Yeah. So you searched all over the world.
Yeah.
And did you find something?
Not really, you know. When the search collapses, you find, but it's not a finding. It's the end of the search.
Yeah.
That you see that what you've been searching or looking for was actually never not here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went all over the place.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I got to travel a lot. Yeah.
They say that we're like when you have your sunglasses on top of your head and then you start looking for your sunglasses.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They never left.
Yeah.
And because you were a healer, you were helping people, and at a certain point, you just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
What changed?
I can't tell exactly what changed, but everything dropped away. And it wasn't even that I was standing aside and watching it dropping away. All of a sudden I realized that everything has dropped away, kind of.
Yeah.
And now, you know, looking back, quote unquote, I would say that it was my own pain and my suffering that I tried to frantically control somehow, and I tried to control it via other people.
Okay.
Yeah, helping and calming the suffering, and then it became so obvious this was always my own suffering. Actually, I tried to escape. Yes.
Because as long as you try to improve the person, you're actually trying to improve something that's not real, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's completely upside down.
Yeah.
This idea to correct life, this need that life that you have to correct whatever is showing up, is a completely upside down view of an individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
This separate or seemingly separate entity who is not an actuality actually. Tries to find something, and it is a complete headstand actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can try to improve the person forever.
And the outer circumstances and other persons, you know, in my case also not just myself but the others. My son has to be different and in a specific way, and my parents all together, of course, you know. And then you can do lots of therapy, changing the story, you know, and adjusting and readjusting, and it's a never-ending story.
Yeah. Trying to make the fairy tale a bit nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is okay. If it's possible to make the circumstances of the fairy tale a bit nicer, why not? It's quite natural, I think. But that's the cage.
Yeah.
You're always operating within the cage. Moving around.
What are people overlooking?
I wouldn't even say that there is a person overlooking something.
Mm-hmm.
The overlooking equals the person.
Yeah.
You know? Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is not a separate individual overlooking something, but there is a dynamic that is covering something, and this dynamic is suggesting a separate person.
Yeah.
And when this collapses, there is not a person left that is seeing clearly, but what's left is just what is, and then it is very obvious that it is as it is, and it's not a person knowing that, oh my God, this is how it is, you know?
Yeah, although there are many people telling this, right? They think, now I found something better, or...
Yeah, which I also understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in a way it feels great when you discover this.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you look, of course this is in Storyland, but when you figured out there's actually no one in me, that I am life itself, did something change with the programming of what we call Dana?
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, this is, with words, this is really a helpless and hopeless endeavor, because you can say everything, the story went on, like the story is being written.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's such a difference when there is this apparent separate entity, this individual there, and this sense of this is happening to me and I am experiencing life.
Yeah.
This is such a difference. When this is there, suffering is there. If this collapses, there is pain, but not the suffering in the sense that you constantly keep up that story. Why is this happening to me? It should be different, and I can't believe it again. This is happening to me. This storytelling is not there anymore. But then, you know, things are happening, and some are not nice, and some are nice. Yeah.
So you've had quite a rough life, a lot of experiences, but as I can summarize, you say, okay, pain may arise, but not everything is pleasurable, what's happening, but at a certain point the whole storytelling dropped away. Is that right?
Yeah. This sense of this is happening to me, yeah, and this this entity that is coming from a past and going into a future and trying to control this path. Yeah. This entity is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So all that's left is this.
This. Yeah.
It's so simple in a way.
Yeah. And this is all there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is not what the person thinks it is. The person can only experience everything because it thinks it's separate. I'm something, so this seeming outside is also something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And experiences things. Yeah. When this collapses, it is obvious that this is no thing. This beingness is not a thing.
No.
And it's all there is. So all there is no thing being all there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is like a seeing through this story, but it doesn't mean that the story, that, you know, things don't appear and disappear like they used to, going to work and going to the supermarket. It all appears, but it's seen through somehow. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a personal seeing through, but it is so obvious that this is not this real heavy life that we thought it was.
Yeah. It's like the famous quote, I can't remember who said it, but it came from India, and the guy said, before I woke up from the dream, I was a taxi driver and I would bring people to their destination. After I woke up, I was a taxi driver and I drove people to their destination. Yeah, so in a way, that's the same, but the only thing that might become a little different is first you thought you were a separate individual being the doer of your actions, bringing people to the destinations, which might give a lot of thoughts and struggle.
Yeah.
And in the end, there's just bringing people to their destination.
Yeah.
And when people come to you, what are questions that often arise?
You see, maybe. It's not that it's arising in cause and effect, yeah, but maybe talking in this very tiny focus, because my story was a very complex and complicated and tough one. Often people come here with a very tough story. And this is very sweet because it becomes obvious so quickly that it can't be about the story, because as soon as they start talking about the story, I can always stop it.
Yeah.
I can always say, that's nothing actually, you know, what happened to me, it's far worse, yeah?
Yeah.
And then this is nice, because, you know, the whole story collapses instantly.
Yeah.
Because how can it be within the story when there's always somebody else's story that is even more tragic or not so tragic?
Yeah.
It cannot depend on the story.
No.
So in that sense it is nice that I had such a tough story, because I can use it, so to say, to let the story collapse altogether.
Yeah.
Because by, you know, if you tell somebody, yeah, your story might be tough, but you know what mine is, you know, it becomes so obvious that this is, that can't be it, yeah. And then it happens that something can be seen that is not the story, but also the story, but something wider and more spacious becomes kind of obvious and available. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, because we try to, when we have painful stories, we try to get rid of them with new stories.
Yeah.
That yesterday we used a metaphor like there's a white screen on which all appearances come, like in a cinema.
Yeah.
What's been overlooked, not really overlooking, but if you realize there's always this white screen in which everything appears, then a change may arise, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's difficult in words because the screen and what arises on the screen seems so separate.
Yeah.
If we use that metaphor.
Yeah, which is not, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this beingness cannot arise as beingness without appearing as this.
Yeah.
So there is not beingness, and out of this beingness something else arises.
No,
it is the same.
Yeah.
But this metaphor, I like it quite a lot with the white canvas. As soon as we start talking about it, we are painting on the canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
So we can never talk about this or describe it or get it in words, right?
But somehow this spaciousness becomes so obvious. And also I find it interesting that thoughts are creating a past and a future. That people can have, somehow it can be heard, you know? Somehow it can be heard that when you tell somebody this, and within this and as this, everything is arising, the past and the future. The past and future can always ever be only a thought. It can be heard somehow. And then actually I can only think about something called past or future. But there is no past that actually happened for the thought to arise, suggesting something like a past or a future. And this is just so spacious. This is opening up. And, so nice. Mm.
So also all our problems, so to say, can only be in thought.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So right now there are two people and they're sitting on a couch. That's all there is now.
Mm-hmm.
And even using the word couch is a concept.
Yeah.
It's a mutual agreement that this is a couch.
Yeah.
So can we actually ever know something?
No. No?
Only in description.
There is no way to know something, because this is one.
Yeah.
It would need two, at least. It would need separation, that you can stand apart from it, being something separate,
Yeah.
knowing something. Yeah? All we claim we know is a thought coming and going.
Yeah.
It is impossible to know. And all there is of course too much for a tiny part of all there is.
Yeah.
How should the tiny part cover all there is? Yeah?
Yeah.
Or using another metaphor, I quite like that when you can only be what you are, you can never know what you are. Like
Yeah.
when you are honey, you will never know how honey tastes, because you are it.
Yeah.
You would have to be something different than honey and tasting it, and then you can say something about honey.
Yeah.
But you cannot say a thing about this.
No. This whole room is green.
Yeah.
Then we can never know what green
Yeah.
is.
It needs the difference and the opposite and the different shades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you started to talk about non-duality, you said there were several people who were like, "Oh, what's this? What's she doing?" Because they were used that you would try to heal them,
Yes.
and suddenly you had a different approach.
Yeah.
What happened? Did they get angry or
Yeah.
disappointed?
Yeah. Not all of them, but most of them. Yeah. Anger and disappointment and a kind of helplessness. It was so convenient coming here and getting something.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this is not there anymore. For an individual this feels very terrifying actually. There's lots of fear coming up. Oh my God, I need to find somebody else who can help me, show me how life is working. Always this idea that you need to know something
Yeah.
for life to happen. But life is happening without anyone knowing a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the freedom. But for the individual, this is so scary.
Yeah.
And in this story, it's funny because all these people who claim to be highly awakened people didn't want to have anything to do with me anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say? We often have a lot of concepts and ideas, and they give us a certain security.
Yeah.
But non-duality is in that way very scary for the person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if people now come, you just point at the illusionary eye, or what's your preference in your teaching? Or you just don't know?
I don't know. And there is no teaching as such, and it's not my teaching, of course. But,
Yeah.
you know, talking begins somehow, and then it develops, and most of the time it is a hint to what is always there. Yeah. And you see, in non-duality, it is, the person is, it's so easy for this individual to have a new concept with non-duality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I try to point to that it's not about having a new concept, that there is nobody.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end this is not about living in a new concept. Old concept, there is somebody, and the new concept, there is nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then often the eye just uses this new concept
Yeah.
to get away with things.
Yeah, and to support all these concepts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked a bit about freedom already, what freedom could be. And the misinterpretation most of the time is that freedom is, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
My life is just a holiday. Pooh! This is not freedom actually. The freedom is that everything can be as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah? And there's no resistance to life as it is, which does not mean, and this is the next misunderstanding sometimes, that it is acceptance. It doesn't mean that I accept everything the way it just are.
Yeah.
Or that I want others to accept everything. Yeah? Well, I'm just like that. You have to accept, you know. This is not about that. Yeah. It's not
Because
about
isn't it so that
acceptance.
as soon as the person uses non-duality to find excuses,
Yeah.
you're in storyland.
Yeah.
And because if life just unfolds itself as it is, why do you have to pick up non-duality and tell other people like, yeah?
Exactly. Yeah.
It can be a huge excuse, this
Yeah.
whole non-duality.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like my son, when he came home late, he just changed his watch and said, on my watch is true, and perfectly on time. Yeah. And the person does this with non-duality as well.
Yeah.
You know, I do what I want,
Yeah.
but as long as there is somebody claiming I want to do what I want, who is the one? You know, who is the one claiming that?
Yeah.
And the non-duality is a perfect tool.
Perfect.
A perfect tool to expect from the other, seeming other, you have to accept me the way you are, because...
This just happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like when the thief steals a car and he's in front of the judge and he says, yeah, I'm sorry, just, but this was just life happening. There was no me doing it. And then the judge says, I'm sorry, Mr. Thief, I'm sending you to prison. This is also just life happening. There's no use to find excuses with non-duality.
Actually, now that you mention that, it reminds me of a saying, maybe it was Ramana Maharshi, but I'm not sure. And the saying goes, this me, this little me is the thief. Yeah? And using non-duality as a concept to find excuses, yeah, is as if you would put the thief in a policeman's uniform and tell him, go and find the thief.
Ah, yeah.
This is just not working like that.
No, that's beautiful.
It's nice, isn't it? Yeah. Then the thief plays policeman and says, yeah, I'm after the thief anyhow, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.